The political churn in poll-bound Uttar Pradesh is our top focus this morning. The BJP has dented the SP just days after the party had poached 11 saffron party leaders. SP patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav's daughter-in-law Aparna Yadav is likely to join the saffron party. She is the wife of Mulayam Singh's younger son Pratik Yadav. Pratik is the stepbrother of SP chief Akhilesh Yadav. Sources have told India Today that talks were going on between the BJP and Aparna for quite some time now. Aparna has contested the 2017 Uttar Pradesh Assembly election from Lucknow cantonment seat before. She lost to BJP candidate Rita Bahuguna Joshi by a margin of 33,796 votes. Let's take this across to Abhishek Mishra. He's joining us live from Lucknow with more details on this. Abhishek, when we talk about Aparna Yadav, she's not new to politics. She's even been part of the poll fray the previous election, didn't do too well. So is this more about the optics than really, putting someone like Aparna Yadav in the poll fray?
Well, certainly, it's looked like that, by fielding Aparna Yadav, and that too on the ticket of BJP, will give a mileage to the party in the sense to give a message out there that how the party has been successfully able to dent within the family now. We have seen how Aparna has been, favoring the BJP. There has been some statement earlier. CM Yogi Adityanath has also visited the Kana Upavan, where she used to work, for all these things. And at the same time, it is very clear that this is going to be a very major step. She was demanding for Lucknow Cant seat, which earlier she also fought in 2017, lost to Rita Bahuguna Joshi, and this time Rita Bahuguna Joshi is also demanding for a ticket for her son from the same seat. So the negotiation between the party and Aparna Yadav has is finally over, and she's all set to join. Which seat she will be filled, that remains to be seen. But it is very clear now that Aparna is going to be the part of the party, and at the same time giving a straight challenge to the Samajwadi Party, and it's sort of a revenge from the BJP side, which has happened earlier by the Samajwadi Party taking all these MLAs and the ministers from the BJP to Samajwadi Party, and Aparna is the new wicket which the BJP has taken.
There's no doubt, Abhishek, that this will be viewed essentially as a response by the BJP to the fact that 11 of their leaders have left the party and joined the SP. And this is a big fish that we're talking about, more so because it dents this, entire image of the Parivar being united. Has there been any reaction that's coming from the Samajwadi Party, or for that matter from the Yadavs?
Well, Samajwadi Party has not reacted so far, and Akhilesh Yadav just 2 days earlier responded to our question, and he said that, the BJP looks like more concerned about our family, and he assured that nothing like that would happen. But today with the news which is coming in, and there is absolutely no chance now that it will not happen, with the fact that how she's already in Delhi, and it is very likely that today at any time she can join the party. So far, no reaction from SP, but nothing left for the Samajwadi Party as well to react, because with Aparna's candidature, and that too from Lucknow, if it's going to be, is a major challenge for the Samajwadi Party. Yes, she has fought the last election, but couldn't get that seat, and the rift between Aparna and Akhilesh Yadav and what is happening within the family is quite evident. Why is it resulting? So it's quite clear that the BJP has taken this step, and with Aparna Yadav getting into the contingent, will surely going to give a big message to the party and a big setback for the Samajwadi.
Absolutely. The information we're picking up is that about 10:30 is when Aparna Yadav in all likelihood will be inducted into the Bharatiya Janata Party. And this is a story that we're tracking very, very closely. Abhishek, thank you for joining us with all your inputs. Let's break down for you the Yadav family tree, and where Aparna Yadav, how she's related to Mulayam Singh Yadav. Mulayam, of course, was the founder of Samajwadi Party. He had two wives. His first wife, Malti Devi, had unfortunately passed away in 2003. His second wife, Sadhana Gupta Yadav. Now, Akhilesh Yadav is the son of Mulayam and Malti Devi. He's married, of course, to Dimple Yadav. He is now the chief of the Samajwadi Party. Sadhana Gupta Yadav and Mulayam Singh, their son is Pratik Yadav, and he's married to Aparna Yadav, who's likely to join the BJP. Pratik isn't involved in politics. He runs high-end gyms in Lucknow. Now, another interesting development in battleground Uttar Pradesh, SP chief, the current MP from Azamgarh, Akhilesh Yadav is likely to contest also in these assembly elections. Akhilesh Yadav is going to be addressing a news conference later in the day. He had earlier said that he will not be in the poll fray this time. He will not be contesting the polls. I would prefer to focus on every seat in the state. Akhilesh Yadav has never contested the state assembly polls. This will be a first. And obviously, there will be questions of whether this has been prompted by Chief Minister Yogi's decision to take the poll plunge from Gorakhpur. Reports of Akhilesh Yadav contesting this election come on a day that his sister-in-law, Aparna Yadav, is tipped to join the BJP in Delhi. Remember that all the bigwigs initially, BSP chief Mayawati isn't contesting polls this time. Akhilesh had said initially he's not going to, but days after Yogi Adityanath has confirmed that he's fighting from Gorakhpur, looks like Akhilesh is throwing his hat in the ring too. Let's focus also on what's happening in poll-bound Punjab. A sensational development in the ED raids on Chief Minister Channi's nephew that took place yesterday. The Enforcement Directorate has seized 6 crore rupees cash from Channi's nephew Bhupinder Singh Hani's residence in Ludhiana. Another 2 crore rupees was also seized from a second location in Ludhiana. The charges against Channi's nephew include investment of black money in his firm, giving out sand mining contracts illegally, and also his firm receiving contracts worth hundreds of crores.
देखिए, कैप्टन साहब ने कहा था मेरी जो कैबिनेट है उसके बहुत से मंत्री माफिया का हिस्सा है, तभी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए थी। हम भी कहते रहे कि चन्नी साहब के हलके में चमकौर साहब में इलीगल माइनिंग चल रही है। चन्नी साहब को ऐसा नहीं हो चन्नी साहब को नहीं पता। अभी जो रेड्स हुई हैं उनके रिश्तेदारों के घर पे, तो उससे पता चल गया ना कि चन्नी साहब सिर्फ गिल्ली डंडा या खंबे पे चढ़ना या अपने आप को ऐसे साबित कर देना कि मैं तो बहुत ही मतलब आम आदमी हूँ, ये वो उनके घर पर ईडी की रेड हो रही है।
ये तो कहा जाए कि मुख्यमंत्री का रिश्तेदार गैर कानूनी माइनिंग का काम क्यों कर रहा था, ये तो सवाल हो सकता है, लेकिन ये तो सवाल ही गलत होगा कि ईडी जो है मुख्यमंत्री के या रिश्तेदार हो या उसका दोस्त हो या कोई भी जो गलत काम करे उस पर छापा क्यों मारे, ये तो सवाल ही गलत होगा। ईडी एक इंडिपेंडेंट जो है एजेंसी है ना। तो और बड़ी बात क्या है कि 2018 में जब ये केस शुरू हुआ था, अगर आपके संज्ञान में हो, तो कैबिनेट में बहुत शोर मचा था, लड़ाई हुई थी और ये कहा गया था कि चन्नी इन्वॉल्व है इसके अंदर। तो तब चन्नी जी ने ये भी कहा था कि मैं गुरुद्वारे कसम खा लेता हूँ मेरे रिश्तेदार नहीं है।
की मानसिकता शुरू से रही है, चाहे बंगाल की चुनाव हो चाहे असम का चुनाव हो, ये जिससे लड़ते हैं मुद्दों के ऊपर, इनके पास मुद्दे तो है नहीं, लोग इनको पसंद नहीं करते। ये लोगों को डराकर धमकाकर और गलत पर्चे दर्ज कर वो पावर में आना चाहते हैं। लेकिन से डरने वाले हम लोग नहीं हैं। ईडी के चाहे 10 रेड डलवा ले, तो अब्दाली से नहीं डरे, हम तो मुगलों से नहीं डरे। आप क्या डराओगे ईडी बीडी से?
Kamaljeet Sandhu is joining us this morning from Chandigarh with all the updates on the story. Kamaljeet, we just played out some of the political reactions on this issue. With weeks to go for elections, this has become the #1 political showdown right now in Punjab. But it looks like it's going to escalate because we've got details of the seizures by the Enforcement Directorate, which seems to suggest that Chief Minister Channi's relative is not off the hook yet.
Well, the latest raids are the reason for a big political controversy and a showdown in Punjab at the peak of poll season. Congress could have avoided this controversy. Perhaps they don't have much of a chance now. It also seems because even though the Congress party is saying that this is a political vendetta, this pertains to 2018 FIR. Now, the Congress Chief Minister, Charanjit Singh Channi, has come out and said that a similar modus operandi was adopted by BJP in West Bengal, and look what happened to them. But meanwhile, the political parties here are taking pot shots at the Congress party and the Chief Minister. We heard Bhagwan Mann speak, saying he's no longer the Aam Aadmi, especially in the wake of the raids and the amount of money and piles of cash has been collected by the ED. So this is obviously one of those cases where illegal sand mining, an issue which has been raised and raked up by all political parties, including the Congress. The PCC chief Navjot Singh Sidhu had himself pointed out about how illegal sand mining is going on. And now it seems Charanjit Singh Channi seems to be caught in the middle of this entire controversy, him denying any sort of role, saying this is political vendetta. Meanwhile, it's the opponent, who are obviously taking pot shots at Charanjit Singh Channi and his relatives. The other part is obviously what is happening in the raids. We are expecting more raids to take place today. There were raids conducted in Pathankot, Ludhiana, Mohali, in several of the 10 places.
Okay.
But is there going to be a possible arrest? That now needs to be seen, because this will actually escalate the entire controversy. We're expecting a press conference around 1:30 by Navjot Singh Sidhu, Harish Chaudhary, as well as Mr. Surjewala. And we do expect that there would be some sort of a firefight by the Congress party on this.
All right, I will track that very closely. Kamaljeet, for the moment, thank you for joining us. Let's get you all the latest COVID updates. There's been a decline in COVID cases in metros like Delhi and Mumbai, but in parts of South India, there's been a surge again in the infection rate. In Karnataka too, it's a similar case with the number of cases going up, but the government has made it very clear that they're not planning to impose any sort of lockdown in the state. Several netas have also said at this point that the weekend curfew should be lifted.
After Maharashtra and Delhi, the third wave is surging in South India. Karnataka is one of the worst hit states. The state recorded more than 41,000 new COVID infections on Tuesday, one of the highest caseload amongst states. Bengaluru reported more than 25,000 alone. While infections are rising at an alarming rate, people are still ignoring COVID norms. Massive rallies, padyatras and large-scale festivities. COVID norms were widely flouted as Banashankari Goddess Utsav was celebrated across the state. Though the state government has imposed weekend and night curfew, leaders within the ruling BJP are now questioning need for such curbs.
ನಾವು ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಜೀವನನ ಯಾಕೆ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ದೂಡಬೇಕು, ಜೀವಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾನಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜೀವ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಈಗಿನ ಈ ಥರ್ಡ್ ವೇವ್ನ ಕೇಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಅದರದ್ದು ಹಾನಿಯ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ. 2 ವರ್ಷ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದು ಈಗ ಜೀವನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಯಾಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ದೂಡಬೇಕು? ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನನಗನ್ಸೋದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಾದು ನೋಡಬೇಕು, ಕೆಲವು ಕಠಿಣ ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಕರ್ಫ್ಯೂ ಹೇರಬಾರ್ದು, ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಹೇರಬಾರ್ದು.
ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನು, ಆ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್, ಈ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಜನರ ಜೀವನ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ದುಸ್ತರವಾಗಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಳಾಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಏನು ಪೀಡಿತರು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಬಂದಂಥವರಿಗೆ ಸೂಕ್ತ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದ ತಯಾರಿನ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊರತು ಈ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬಹಳ ಸಂವೇದನೆಯಿಂದ ಜನರ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕ್ರಮ ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
Union Minister Prahlad Joshi has also joined the growing chorus for lifting restrictions.
ನಾನು ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗ ಸಲಹೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆ ವೀಕೆಂಡ್ ಕರ್ಫ್ಯೂನು ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಏನು ನಿಯಮಗಳಿದೆ ಆ ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ಜನಾನುಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸರ್ಕಾರನೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
Karnataka will chair a meeting to review the weekend and night curfew on Friday. Lives versus livelihoods. The Omicron surge has once again raised the question: are curfews effective in checking the virus spread? Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, with the national COVID caseload declining, ICMR's epidemiology head has made a big prediction. Speaking exclusively to India Today, Dr. Samiran Panda has said that COVID will become endemic by March 11th. The scientist has added that Omicron has replaced the Delta variant as the dominant variant in India.
A lot of questions are being asked on whether Omicron is going to be that variant which eventually is going to put us on the path of this disease becoming endemic. What do you think? Because a lot is being said about how in India at least it might just become endemic in the next few weeks or so to come. What's your point of view?
We did a mathematical modeling as projection, which is known as chromic model, that is done through collaboration between ICMR and Imperial College. 11th December was the date when Omicron was reported from within India, and we realized through that modeling exercise that it could take 3 months' time. So from 11th of December, one could always expect, 11th of January, then 11th of February, and then maybe by mid-March, one could start seeing the fall or the decline in the rising number of cases. But the whole country is not going to behave uniformly. The states would differ from each other in terms of seeing a peak and then decline.
Dr. Panda, when it comes to prevalence, what's the prevalence and percentage in Mumbai city and Delhi city, for example, of Omicron vis-a-vis Delta?
It is not about the prevalence, it's about the relative proportion. So I would say one would not be surprised if one sees that out of the total infection, 80% is due to Omicron and 20% is due to Delta or even less.
In Delhi and Bombay both?
Yes, and it's a dynamic phenomenon. So basically, it's all about mapping the relative frequency or the proportion of each variant.
Yes. ICMR's guidelines of purpose of testing had one intention, but it looks like, because the ministry has written to states today, that their intention has not been served. The purpose has not been served. There are states who are not testing as much, and today the government of India has had to come out and say, listen, we never really said that do not test as much. We said that there should be purpose of testing. States are not testing even when required. What are your concerns? And there have been critics who say that purpose of testing at this point of time in India was not something that should have been done. We were okay with testing so many people. We were really okay. Why did the ICMR eventually go back to, then say that do not test as much?
Well, health is a state subject, and there was never a directive to the state saying that reduce the number of tests. It's not about reducing the number of tests. We are in the month of January 2022, which is different from the month of January which was there in 2021. Again, which was different from the January in 2020. The point I'm trying to make is that the epidemic is not a static phenomenon. So it has changed its character in these 3 months of January in successive years, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So if the epidemic changes its nature, the testing strategy, the management strategy should also change, because this has to be done in line with the changed epidemiology and also the force of infection. So the testing guideline clearly says that the symptomatic individuals can always go for home-based tests, and those who monitor their body temperature, oxygen saturation, and health conditions, if there is worsening, under the consultation of a treating physician, one could go to the hospital. So the whole discussion was not around reducing the number of tests.